Welcome in to Cover Crimson. That is Clint Lamb. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, EG. And guys, we have made it. We are now sitting on the other side of the Iron Bowl, and we have a lot to discuss. Clint, how are you feeling after last night?
I think there was some frustration watching initially. I think the way that they played, getting up 17-0, and seeming like, hey, they might not only win this game, they might put this team away and kind of make a statement win right here at the end of the season. I thought that would have been really encouraging. And then of course you allow them to kind of claw back into it. It gets tied up 2020. And yet, once again, as this team has done countless times this year, they figured out a way to go out there and drive the length of the field, score a touchdown, and get out of Auburn with the win. So you love seeing that. Obviously going to be playing in the SEC championship as a result, and potentially the college football playoffs. So got to give Kalen DeBoer a lot of credit. It wasn't pretty necessarily, but once again, they figured out a way to get it done.
What a last 24 hours in the college football world as a whole, you guys. I mean, I have not slept very much in the last couple of days. I don't know about you, Clint. I think last night I got back from Auburn around 3:30, and then of course the high of coming off a game, especially like the Iron Bowl. I didn't get much sleep, but there's a lot that we can discuss within college football, but we're going to focus on Bama for this SEC championship this coming weekend. And there's a lot of discussion about this game. So we had the teleconference earlier between Coach Smart and Coach DeBoer. I was on there, got to listen in, and they gave some insights on to the games that they played this weekend, but also obviously onto the SEC championship. And I want to start here. I know we have the Iron Bowl, but I want to touch on the SEC championship and what Coach Smart, what Kirby said about how he does believe that both teams should be in the college football playoff regardless of the outcome of this game. So that was from Kirby. I know that you guys have a lot of opinions on this. Clint, I'm curious to know yours, but it just seems like this is not setting up well per se based off of some decisions the committee has made thus far.
Yeah, there's some uncertainty there. I will fully admit. I think if they get left out, it won't be as a result of an SEC championship loss. I think it would be because they're the 10 seed. And if you got to move three teams who are currently not in the top, I wouldn't say the top, I guess top 12 into the top 12, that would include 12, 11, and 10. So Alabama would be included in that. And you certainly wouldn't think that they would Alabama would suffer a loss in the SEC championship and climb in the rankings. So that's kind of maybe not necessarily drop, but you certainly wouldn't think that they would climb. So if that 10 seed has fallen out or has to fall out, it would probably have to be Alabama, which is why you need to be big Texas Tech fans this upcoming weekend against BYU. I think that's pretty important.
Yep.
There will be some other conversations that need to be had. I mean, Miami is sitting at home. I mean, if Alabama goes out there and they play a close game against Georgia, Notre Dame sitting at home, I mean, there will be some conversations that need to be had, but we'll kind of, I guess, cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's break it down. The Iron Bowl. So I was in Auburn, like I mentioned. So many layers to this game. And I want to talk about the environment of Jordan here because I've had a lot of questions about that. I've been saving it to talk about it on here. From your vantage point, Clint, what was your take on that? I mean, was it coming through that it was pretty rowdy in there?
It definitely seemed rowdy, yeah. And I mean, it felt like there was a long lull. I mean, when you get down 17-0, the excitement level, the energy level there in the stadium is going to be, not where it needs to be. Now, I will say there were some times where the cheering didn't make a whole lot of sense because it was something that happened in favor of Alabama. And I'm like, wait a minute, is that Alabama fans? Or did they have good representation?
There was some good representation, you guys. And so that was my second Iron Bowl in Jordan Hare. And some of you guys know this, but I covered Bama and Auburn at the same time. So for 2 seasons, I was covering both teams, very unbiased journalism going on, and that took place. My team is in Statesboro, as I like to say. Then I fell onto this side of the rivalry. And so I kind of saw it through a little bit of a different lens this weekend. And what I will say about the environment was I was directly comparing it to 4th and 31. And it wasn't, and you said it best, there was a bit of a lull, right? And I think Alabama traveled really well this year. And so it was a rowdy environment. It was everything that you expect it to be. But without direct comparison to 4th and 31, it wasn't as sustained as it was 2 seasons ago. But I thought that despite, there were some delay of games because Holly Rowe, I think, said on the broadcast that they were having trouble communicating. I can absolutely see that based off of, I'm sitting on the sideline, I'm hearing it and experiencing it. And so I like what you said at the beginning of this, Clint. Alabama still found a way to win, right? Despite the adversity. And Bray Hubbard said it in postgame. I asked him, I said, what is it about this defense that is just working? Why do you guys continually find that energy and just to get back out there and make stuff happen? And he highlighted that shared adversity that they face. And he said, there's basically nothing we haven't seen at this point. Like we've seen it all. And I thought that was a really good representation of the regular season for Bama.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what you want. I mean, it's a very manageable drive. And so, obviously Auburn fans, they get an allotment for a home game of tickets. And so it's going to mostly be Auburn fans, but if you're an Alabama fan and you can make the trip, certainly figure out a way to get your hands on some tickets and make sure that you're in there. And I thought, just based off of the TV broadcast, which is very limited, but hearing, your eyewitness account to, how things played out, that's great to see. This team has definitely not lost any support. Everything's in front of them. There was a lot of rumors and stuff swirling last week, and I'm glad that the team and the coaching staff, they didn't let that affect them. They didn't let that distract them. They put their heads down. They went to work. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. It's the Iron Bowl. I mean, and there have been some teams, some really good Alabama teams who have played some really not great Auburn teams, and it's gone down to the wire, and it's been an absolute war and an absolute battle. And so that shouldn't be shocking to anybody with how things played out. It was just the only reason I said what I did at the beginning was you got up 17-0.
Right.
And so it's like you took control, came out firing on all cylinders. And
the run game.
The run game was there. And it's like, okay, put this team away. Like you can do it pretty early. If you get up 24-0, I'm telling you, I felt like they were within a touchdown of laying down. And granted, that's pure speculation on my part, but just considering everything that Auburn had been going through, you get down, three, it'd still be 3 scores, but you'd have to get 2-point conversions on all 3 in order to make that comeback. I mean, that's a hefty,
17
hill
is a
to
little
climb.
more manageable.
Absolutely. And we've seen teams come back from 17 points down a ton. And we've seen it from 24. It's just that much more difficult. But when things started going against Alabama, there was some adversity. Maybe in the moments they didn't handle it great. But then it's almost like the momentum fully shifted against them, and they still found a way to get things back on track. And when it really mattered in crunch time, they figured out a way to go down the field and score a touchdown. And then the defense was able. It was a bend but don't break. Auburn was driving the field, but once again, and this is something else that Alabama did a really good job of, was winning the turnover battle. They didn't against Oklahoma, in my opinion. Between that and special teams, that's the reason you lost that football game. Alabama, if they would have lost this turnover battle, they probably lose this game. And so, them getting the timely turnovers and figuring out a way to get that done, that certainly had a massive impact on the outcome.
Yeah, and let's talk about the 4th down conversion. Oh my goodness, you guys. I posted the video that I got of it on our social media. So if you're not following us at Cover Crimson, you need to go see this video. I am not kidding you, Clint. I'm pretty sure my eyes were closed. Like I could not watch what was transpiring literally right in front of me. But Isaiah Horton, I mean, the hat trick, just he was everything that you needed him to be. And I love what he said. He said, my only goal is to do his best for my teammates and for everybody else. And I love that.
I mean, you're talking about a guy who has played had a sizable role in Alabama's offense. It hadn't been consistent. Part of that's through injuries. Part of that's through, just having a bunch of different playmakers and game script and everything else. But this is one of those where, I think it was the Iron Bowl. What was it? 2021. Is that when Jameson Williams got ejected? And then, of course, it's like, Jameson Williams is easily their best receiver. You had other guys really step up and really, do what they needed to do to help Alabama get a win. That was Isaiah Horton last night because, Ryan Williams, and we'll be getting to this here in just a second, but didn't have any targets. Jeremy Bernard certainly got a massive target share, 10 targets, but he only had 3 catches for 24 yards, so didn't do a whole lot with it. Lottie Brooks got some opportunities as well. Didn't play his best game, in my opinion, but, they needed somebody to step up because you didn't have Josh Cuevas, and you certainly didn't have Cuevas in those critical situations or critical moments where he has been so good this season.
Yeah.
And so having a guy like Isaiah Horton step up, that's why you want this kind of depth in your wide receiver room, because you've got injuries that start to play a part as far as your pass catchers. And then you've got guys, maybe it's an off night, maybe it's just, through, different circumstances that you can't really foresee. You got to turn to some other guys, and Isaiah Horton was that player last night, and it couldn't have come at a better time.
Agreed. And he said that was the reason that he, came to Bama, is for games like that last night. So it was fun to see him, get those touches and just that. I mean, that fourth down conversion, you guys. I want to know what your reactions were in that moment, because I mean, season on the line. I loved it. And it just, and I love what Coach DeBoer had to say in postgame about it as well. I thought it was hilarious, where he was like, well, last time we need a touchdown, the 29-yard comment. It was just so good. But in postgame, we got to talk to Isaiah Horton, Ty Simpson, Bray Hubbard, Keon Sabb, Deontay Lawson. And the overarching, theme was, this is great. We're going to do it for 24 hours. But the first thing we have to worry about, regardless of college football playoffs, is the SEC championship next week, and what that means, and what an honor it is to go play in that game.
Yeah. I mean, the parallels that I made on Twitter earlier, comparing this game to last year's Oklahoma game, you had everything in front of you. You had a spot in the SEC championship ahead of you. You had a spot in the college football playoffs. You had everything to play for. It was a hostile environment against a tough defense, a good defensive mind in DJ Durkin. Last year it was Brent Venables. Like, it was going to be a tough test. And last year's team, with everything on the line like that, they go out there and they lose 24-3 and didn't play their best football. This year's team responded a lot differently, and they came out firing, and they were prepared, clearly prepared, got up, got a sizable lead, ended up not being able to capitalize and close, which is, that is a topic of conversation. But once again, as they have done at so many points this season, the adversity that they faced, they didn't let that define them. They didn't let that defeat them. Instead, they put their heads down, went to work, and figured out a way to get a win. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I understand that it's Auburn. I understand they're 5-7. They're not going to a bowl game again. That's pretty common for them nowadays. But, I had to get my shot in. I'm sorry. But at the same time, Alabama is going to face adversity, in the SEC championship, I'm sure. And if they can make the college football playoffs, your good teams are going to be there. So you're going to face some adversity, and just their ability and their confidence to not let adversity affect them, or at least, cause them. It's not a snowball effect for them. It kind of would feel that way against Auburn, but they can stop it, and they can reverse and really get things back on track. It doesn't have to get out of hand. And I love this team for that. I think that they, if they can continue to work on some of the things that have been problems, which, was the passing game a concern last night? Absolutely. And we'll be talking about that this week. But the run game, it has shown improvement, guys. Yeah. I mean, against Oklahoma, it was improved. Eastern Illinois, I understand it's Eastern Illinois, but it looked really good. And then, of course, against Auburn, it did what it needed to do. They're going to need guys to step up depending on what's going on with Jam Miller. But, they really put an emphasis on that, and they're making improvements. They just got to get some of the other elements of the offense that was, dynamic earlier in the season back on track.
Yeah, and what better time to put it all together than in the next couple of weeks, if we're being honest. I think the run game, obviously Jam Miller does get hurt. He left the field on crutches last night. So we should potentially get some clarification on that, and over the course of the next few days. We will not have normal media tomorrow with the coordinators and Coach DeBoer, because we did have the teleconference today with Kirby. And then I think the next time we hear from Coach DeBoer will be on Thursday. So you guys can be expecting potentially an update on that front. But that's kind of the update there. And you just hate to see it, because Jam was playing so well. It looked like a little miscommunication between him and Ty on that one pass. I think that was on 3rd and 2, I want to say.
It was.
But I mean, barring that, I thought that the run game looked really great. And I think that one thing we do need to acknowledge is that has really improved week to week. Now it's about, like you said, kind of wrapping up it in a bow and getting that passing game back to the caliber and back to the standard that, this team and that receiver room and, Coach Grubb wants it to be at.
Absolutely. And Lance Hunter, I mean, Todd took a beating. He absolutely did. And some of that was, on Ty, he did some things and took some hits that he didn't necessarily have to take. I also thought, some of the play calling didn't help him on the flea flicker. That's one of those where it's like, I didn't really like the call. I understand in hindsight, we can all hindsight things all we want to. But I think, I just feel like with how Alabama was moving the football and they were running the football effectively, it's like just until they can stop that kind of stuff. I understand you want to put them away. You want the explosives. You've been kind of hunting for explosives as much as you possibly can, and they just haven't really been there for this offense. But I just feel like they got a little bit cute. It cost Ty as far as taking a huge hit. But he was a warrior. He kept coming back.
Mhm.
And I did say, or a few weeks ago, that I thought his legs were going to end up playing a massive part at some point. Wasn't to the extent that it needed to be in this game necessarily, but you had the one explosive run for him. I think it went for 26 yards. That was great to see. Well blocked, well executed. Todd did a great job. And you also saw him late get some volume as far as running. And I didn't feel like that was the time for it. But at the same time, I mean, you did see kind of an emphasis on utilizing his legs a little bit more than we have seen. But at the same time, I mean, now that Jam could be absent and we don't know that for sure, they're going to need guys to step up, no doubt.
Yeah, and I think that, again, this time of year, I think everyone is just banged up. And as Tim Keane likes to say, if you're not, then you're not playing hard enough at this point in the season. So it'll be interesting to see. But like we said, we'll have that updated for you guys once we hear more on Jam Miller. But you're right that you have to have guys step up behind him.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of the comments, and I understand people's frustration. I'm not going to put them up on the screen. But I mean, it's unfortunate because I mean, this guy, he works extremely hard. Ryan Williams is a good kid, a good man at this point. 17, under 18, I could get away with that. I got to switch it over to good man. I mean, he works extremely hard. Nobody questions his work ethic. It's been a struggle season for him. He's dealt with injuries. He didn't see any targets in this game. But this is a guy who wanted to come to Alabama. The fact that you had Nick Saban retire and you had a star player at that time, he had decommitted from Alabama, recommit to this coaching staff. They needed that momentum. And he came in as a true freshman, and it was a huge part of the offense last year. And he was young, and he's still young. And I think people forget that. And it's like, just this is a guy who wants to do well, and they get paid a lot of money, and that's always the thing. Hey, you get paid. We can criticize. I understand it, but just understand this is one of ours. He's one of ours, and we gotta. I mean, this is this is family.
As, you guys want or need him to do well, or making comments about that. I can assure you that no one wants him to do better than himself.
Correct.
Like he is working hard in practice, and he is, doing specific drills and putting in that extra work that we've heard from the coaching staff and directly from him. And he gets in front of the media still and answers the questions about all this. And I'm not saying that, we should praise him for that. But at the end of the day, I promise you, there's no one more than himself that wants him to do well. And until, I've never heard anything about Ryan from his teammates that have been derogatory.
Correct.
And so when you look at the locker room and you look at who's supporting him, his teammates are, and Ty Simpson, the quarterback, is. And that has not wavered, not even once this season. And that should be enough, for us, honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, you got Georgia coming up. We all know, I mean, obviously he did have the drop against Georgia in the first matchup of last year. Everybody knows what he's capable of. And so you don't know, and it can't be selective. You got to support it. It's not supporting a player when they're doing great and then abandoning them as soon as they start to do poorly. It's the same thing with Ty Simpson. I mean, I think he's kind of gone through some ups and downs, but you got to stick with him. And I mean, granted, you might have your beliefs. I'm not saying, hey, if you feel like there might be somebody better that they should be playing, I'm not saying, bury that and just believe he's the guy. But what I am saying is understand that all of these players, you can criticize. I criticize when I see something that I don't like, maybe it's effort or execution. You can bring it up, but don't do it in a derogatory, trying to attack. I feel like a lot of it's attacking the character, and that's like the last thing you should be attacking with this guy. The on-field performance, done some good things, also struggled a little bit, but as far as the off the field stuff, he's never gotten in trouble, never come close to getting in trouble. His teammates love him.
I can't say enough good things about him. And I will continuously do that. And I also think it's important to recognize that he has been a difference maker in a lot of these games by getting the first down when he needed, right?
That's true.
After a drop. And yet the very next play, they're going to him again, and he makes the insane catch for the first down. Now, is he in the end zone as much as we probably all would like him to? No. But he's still making a difference. And he's still, putting his body on the line to make it happen. And so, I think that I'm excited to continue to see his development, and I think that that's where we kind of should land right now. And I'm excited to see what he does against Georgia. And Coach DeBoer said too on the teleconference today, he was asked about the no targets, and he said nothing to read into on that. There were certainly opportunities there that Ty maybe didn't see, whatever, but nothing from Coach DeBoer, nothing to read into.
Here's the thing. Because you have so many really quality playmakers, if this was an offense where you had one or two really good receivers and then there was a massive drop-off, you would see a lot more of an effort to get specific players the football. In this offense, because there are playmakers all over the place, and Lottie Brooks deserves targets, and Isaiah Horton proved yesterday or last night that he deserves targets, and you got Jeremy Bernard, you got Ryan Williams, you got a bunch of players. You're going to see ups and downs as far as usage, and it's not the same thing to the same extent as the wideouts, but there were games where certain guys would kind of take a back seat. And I mean, Jalen Waddle was the wide receiver for that season, and yet he finished second on the team in receiving yards. Why? Because there was a lot of games where he stepped up and he ended up being the guy, but there were also games that season where he was the third or fourth in the pecking order. I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but there could be games where he didn't get targets. And I understand this is a different situation because Ryan's considered wide receiver 2, or at least he was considered wide receiver 1 going into the season. But my point is that this isn't the type of offense where if he's getting 0 targets, that's massive concern. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's more of
an indicator. And as Coach DeBoer said, there's nothing more to read into it with. And I think what I've continuously heard about that room from Coach Shupp, who we were all very excited about with his new head coaching job, even though, selfishly, we're all a little sad as well. But the word I continuously have heard is unselfish. Unselfish is that room. It's whatever is best for the team. And I've heard that literally at every single stop, right? Of when I've sat down with Coach Shupp, players in postgame, the one word that is continuously said is just unselfishness. And that's what you want when you have that much talent in one room. Because you have it's a balance of, as you were saying, like there are guys that deserve those targets because of what they're doing in practice. And we've heard that it's a production-based business from Coach Grubb, and the guys that are producing are going to get those touches. That's what he referred to with Daniel Hill, I want to say, about a month ago. And that applies to the wide receiver room as well. And so it's, there's a lot of guys that are really good, and let's be thankful that we have that much depth to be able to spread around a little bit.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And here's the thing. What I will say is based off of how he was trending last year and just the superstar ability that he had shown, if he had become every bit the superstar that he was expected to be, then there would probably be more opportunities for him. Like when you have that, if you're Jeremiah Smith, I don't care how many good receivers Ohio State has, you're going to make sure that he gets the football. I'm not saying that Ryan is that caliber of player right now. He hadn't played to that caliber. So, but he has still been good. He hasn't been nearly as bad as a lot of people criticize him for. But it's just when this wide receiver room, he hasn't done anything to say, "Hey, I don't care what else we got in this room. You need to make sure that I'm getting the football and getting targets." That's the difference. So I'm not over here trying to sell, pump sunshine and say, "Hey, everything's good, great, and wonderful." No, he has fallen short of expectations. I will fully admit that, but I also think that it's just a lot of other guys stepping up. It's been some up and down as far as the offense. It's him playing in the slot. I think that's been an adjustment for him. I think when Jeremy leaves next year, I do think that Isaiah Horton, assuming that he comes back, and Ryan Williams comes back, I think those are your 2 outside receivers. I think that puts Ryan back in, a position that he's a little bit more comfortable in more consistently. And then you got Lottie Brooks there in the slot. Then you got a bunch of other guys who can be involved as well. So I think that 2026, I think it's going to be a little bit different, but he's still at any moment. What I will say is that maybe defenses aren't focusing on him as much, but I promise you going into every single game, every single weekend, defenses are very, very aware of Ryan Williams and what he is capable of.
Yeah.
That has not gone away. So I understand it's frustrating for fans in their minds, like, hey, this guy's getting paid a lot of money and we're not getting the production out of it. I mean, that's part of it. What I would preach is just grace, patience, and let this guy work through what he's working through. And I think on the other side of it, you're going to be very glad that you did. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Let's talk about the defense. Forcing some turnovers. Bray Hubbard continues. Oh, it's so fun to watch this defense. I mean, it's been don't break, so it's stressful, but it's fun watching the highlights the next day. I'll say that. The forced fumble, Deontay Lawson recovering. Deontay was saying like they have that connection that's happened a few times this season. Just hats off to Kane Womack.
Just the way that he's got this group playing, and it wasn't perfect. I mean, they gave up over 100 yards to Ashton Daniels on the ground, 108 yards on 23 carries. I mean, averaged 4.7 yards.
He had that one really long run that he ended out on like the 4-yard line, I want to say.
Absolutely.
Might have been a little further back.
And they gave up some explosives, and Dijon Lee, he was up and down. He had some really good moments, especially early. He also had some freshman mistakes.
That was on that hands in the face call that I guess they thought would be offsides, maybe. What was that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it wasn't perfect by any means, but I will say that this group continues to figure out ways in those critical moments. What has been so special about this group is when they have to have it in so many games, they figured out a way to turn over the football. And the fact that they didn't against Oklahoma, I do think that's a massive reason why they lost, because it was a close football game. Alabama's offense it was in the middle of struggles. It's kind of still struggling as far as the consistency, and they're still working some things out. But if the defense would have done what it has done in pretty much every other game, every other SEC game at least, they probably still would have won that football game. But against Auburn, they got it back on track. They really need a win late. They got one. They're momentum changers. They give the offense that is struggling right now extra possessions, extra opportunities to score points. And so that was great. I mean, the fact that Auburn really outgained Alabama 411 to 280, and yet Alabama won the football game is directly related to, forcing 2 turnovers, and the offense, while there were some turnover-worthy plays from Ty Simpson, he didn't turn the football over. Auburn can capitalize, and so the fact the offense didn't turn it over, that ended up playing a massive part. So give the defense a lot of credit. Kane Womack, I got to be honest, guys, I was scared to death that we were going to lose this guy because, after the whole Alex Golish, they say that he's going to be Arkansas's coach, and then it comes out that they weren't supposed to leak that, and he was going to take the weekend to think about it. And I'm like, man, if someone else swoops in and gets this guy, I was nervous. And then this morning when the news broke that Golish would be going to Auburn, I'm like, no, what does this mean?
There's so much, you guys. We could do like 3 hours based off of the last 24 hours.
And then they go with Silverfield or whatever his name is.
Arkansas. Ryan
Silverfield. So as soon as that happened, we're not out of the woods yet. I promise. We are not out of the woods. But, South Alabama, he was there and he was doing pretty decently well, and he was willing to take a step, back as far as going from head coach to coordinator in order to step up in competition. SEC is the biggest it gets. So Arkansas, and he played there. There was some familiarity. Fayetteville wouldn't have caught him off guard at all. I was very concerned about that.
Is it Silverfish or Silverfield?
I don't remember a fish.
I was saying Silverfish.
I think it's Silverfield.
No disrespect to Mr. Ryan Silver, but we don't know.
But yeah, I mean, it's great for Alabama's defense. They were able to hang on to Kane because he's going to be critical this weekend. I mean, the defense right now, let's just call it what it is. In a lot of ways, they're carrying the offense. And sometimes that happens. And I'm sure at some point the offense is going to reward them for that. But they definitely need Kane Womack this weekend, and they're definitely going to need Kane later on if they're able to make the college football playoffs. And hopefully they can continue to get Kane's talents in 2026 as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Clint. All right. Well, listen, that's going to wrap us up here. 30 minutes well spent with you guys, and we have a full week of content. Clint, we were literally sitting here a week ago being like, man, we can't wait till we're on the other side. And we made it. So
we made it.
Yay. And we're all here together. Is your Christmas stuff up yet? What's the deal?
I put my Christmas stuff up the second
that
Halloween was over. Yes. Okay. Oh yeah. My Christmas stuff is thriving. Only thing we haven't done is we haven't put anything on the balconies,
Okay.
or on the railings outside. We'll do that probably this week.
Good.
Try to
Everyone's
guess.
pumped for it. Maybe
Yeah.
post some pictures on the Cover Crimson X to show us your Christmas decorations. Do you have any good
Yeah.
Bama ones?
And I would love to see everybody else's as well. Send them on over, especially if you got anything Bama. Like some people get, I've never done that, like gone all out. I'm not as committed as some people
Okay.
are, and I respect
Noted.
those people who are. So if you got like some Bama Christmas, I do have a Bama Santa that will be in my background soon. I promise. My favorite thing is from the year 2000. It was my dad's, and he gave it to me, and it's very nostalgic. It's probably one of the most nostalgic pieces of anything that I own. So I'm pumped to pull that out and get that in the background here pretty soon. But yeah, this is going to be a great week because not only is it the SEC championship, but it's also the early signing period on Wednesday.
Yes.
So we're going to be
Oh my
covering
gosh,
everything.
guys.
I've been watching extra tape, guys. I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded. Don't want to, dive in tonight, of course, but in the coming days, you're going to get plenty as far as what Alabama's bringing in, how it impacts the roster. That's going to be fun, EG.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun. I'm helping out actually with the signing day show with football this week, so we're gonna have a ton of stuff from that facet. What can we expect from you and Jimmy this week, scheduling wise? What are we thinking?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about the Iron Bowl, and I have watched the tape once. Typically, like to watch it at least 3 or 4 times. So I'll know more tomorrow by the time we talk, and we'll have more in-depth stuff to share. But then also there will be a recruiting show. There will be Georgia previewing, and some of it will be Georgia's a different team right now. I mean, the same players, and we'll be talking about kind of what that means. But also, I mean, I still think Alabama can win this football game. I'm gonna go ahead and put that out on Sunday. Get ahead of that a little bit. So it's gonna be some great content that I really think people are going to enjoy. Awesome.
EG and friends this week. We're still going. Now, I went to you guys last Georgia week to see who you guys wanted. Who did I get? Now I can't even remember.
I know that it wasn't Brooks that weekend.
Brooks.
Was
you guys let me know though.
Was that pre-EG and friends? Like, or did you start right after?
I think I actually might have started. Yes, I think I started the week after.
Yes.
Okay. So you guys let me know who you want to see this week on EG and Friends. I'm okay with doing a repeat guest if my friends are available this week. So let me know. We'll have that out, and then mailbag this week, or what are we thinking?
Yes, going to be having the mailbag, and we're going to be doing 2. So
okay, nice.
One's going to be podcast only, but the one's probably Thursday if I had to guess. So that'll be a lot of, if you have any lingering early signing day questions, certainly get those in, but then also I'm sure a lot of it will be Georgia related if I had to guess. And so I'm looking forward to that for sure too. Okay. So we have a lot of content for you. Someone said we need to have a 24-hour just like telethon of Bama content. Maybe one day we will. I could do it. I think we could. Easy. I think we could. We could share some stories and just like really, if you guys want it, let us know because we serve you guys. With that being said, make sure you're following us across all social media platforms, all of that good stuff, especially this week. We're just going to have a ton of stuff. Now, again, little programming note, media this week looks different in terms of what you're going to be hearing from coaches and players. So we will have post-practice availability, I want to say, on Tuesday. This is all subject to change. But there's a teleconference with the players, I want to say tomorrow. So again, things will look a little different. You guys should be keeping up with it. We'll make sure that you're in the loop with everything. But with that being said, last thing is do your retail shopping. Cyber Monday tomorrow, and Roback has you covered. So use the code COVER20 for 20% off your order, and make sure you send us the pictures of you wearing your Roback gear. They are collegiate licensed. So we're all assuming you're Bama fans in here. Maybe you're not, and maybe you're just joining us. They probably have your team too. So you can go check out that stuff. It's officially licensed. You're going to get the script day. You'll get the Bama, all that good stuff. Clint, any final words before we send them off? No, just appreciate everybody for being here. This is the type of week that we live for on this channel, and just appreciate all the contributions. So, but like she said, get on over to robat.com. You use the promo code Crimson20 to get 20% off your order, and we will talk to you guys soon.